This is the impoundment area on the Cedar Run Farm where the owner has been having problems with beaver. Here's some old beaver damage. Those beaver he's managed to take out himself. However, there's some beaver in here that have been creating new damage. The trees surrounding the pond area, and he asked me if I would come in here and remove them for him, of which I certainly will do. This is the area where I believe the beaver enter onto this property. It's an area that goes further on back to wildlife resource land, and I believe the beaver travel up here and then enter this canal, and will move north or south on the canal to find a new place to live. This is where the cast outs will come.
My plan is simple. I will target 3 areas. 1, the Beaver Lodge. 2, the crossover from the canal to the pond. And 3, the dam under the footbridge. I will initially set 1 330 body grip at each point, plus 1 Bridger number 4 double long spring foothold next to the lodge. And I'll use Dobbin's wood chipper as my lure.
I'm now on the other side of the little pond here, and you'll see what was described to me as a lodge out there. And I had walked out there to find the entrances to it, and I did not do well on doing that. The water's about 1.5 feet deep out there, and could find no openings to that lodge. So rather than, and I do question whether it's a lodge or not. It could have been at one time. So I am back over here on the land side, and I have the entrance of a lodge over here, and I'm sure that this goes back here into the trees, and it's back here to this road. And this is one of the reasons I get called out to do damage control work, because these beaver come in here and they erode people's roads, and when this area floods, and I'll show you if I can how high it floods in here. You can see that flood marker on that tree back there is probably 4.5 to 5 foot, and so this will flood up with 4.5 to 5 foot of water, and it becomes an impossible thing to keep these roads open unless you stop these beaver from digging big tunnels underneath them. So I have located the entrance to this lodge, and it's pretty much down in the front over there where the stick kind of goes across the other 2 sticks. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 330 in there. You can also see there's been activity up on this lodge here, and so I'll go ahead and do something probably not on the lodge but close to the lodge to attract some interest to any beaver that are out here. My theory is here that there's only 2 beaver out here. I think they're young that have male and a female that have met up and decided to make this their home, because the beaver that were in here were killed about a year ago, and now 2 new ones show up. So I just think it's some juniors that have escaped, or I shouldn't say escaped, they were actually kicked out of their home, and they're on their own, and this is where they think they're going to live, but we're going to, unfortunately for them, change their mind. This is a cut across that goes from the canal that runs down to the river, and then It comes across the road here to the impoundment pond, and I have set a 330 blile down there, and as you can see, this is the entranceway that they go through. And here you can see where the beaver have started to dam across this little stream. And what I did was I went ahead and paneled it off and redirected the flow so that they would definitely have to go through my 330 trap that's set underneath there to complete building their dam. This side shows you how I put in the cattle panel fencing across there, and where that stick is where I have my 330 going across, and there's no way that they can get around from this side anyhow to build that dam, and if they try to do that, then of course I have them trapped right there. Well, here I am on the second day of my set for beaver, and my first set that I put out there, I got myself a nice sized beaver in a 330 trap, and we're going to go ahead and pull him out. That's a nice catch using the 330. As you can see, it got him right around the neck, and that death is instantaneously. There was no suffering going on there. He immediately died, and that's what we're trying to do. You know, we don't want to torture the animal in any shape, manner, or form. You can see he's a little older than I thought. Something took a little nip out of his tail. This is day 3 out here on the impoundment, and I have no new activity out here. Although I see some branches floating out in the water, nothing's come by this lodge, and what I thought was the opening for the lodge evidently is not, because it hasn't been fired, or they're going out another area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to panel this area off and direct them to the 330s. I'll put more 330s in, and I'll direct them to this spot. Alright, let me show you what I've done in front of this lodge. I've used cattle panel fencing, and I cut them down into small pieces, and I leave the bottom so I can stick them into the mud. And here I've left 1, 2, 3 openings. I put in 330s in these spots, and we'll see how this works out. We'll find out in the morning. Let's not forget to take that back. Okay, find out how it works out in the morning. And I have one foothold set over here on the bank with a bait in it called, or lure called wood chipper, and we'll see what happens. Right now I believe that the beaver are inside the lodge, and they should be coming out this evening, and when they do, we should be able to harvest them right here at this area.